Fine. Okay. After Cornelia told us a lot about future of work, I want to get a little bit more practical about home office and mobile work, the situation now. And I think we have already to think about the time after the Corona crisis. So I hope that this brings you some thoughts that help you for the time afterwards. First of all, I want to start with the ante-Corona time. And I show you here the study of the D21 initiative. They're looking every year about for the digital competence of the Germans. And I have especially one finding, and that's about the home office. As you can see, only 15% of the Germans do really work remotely. But 45% of the people say that working flexible regarding time and location would bring with it a better quality of life. So it's astonishing that only 15% do work. Only from the 84% that don't work remotely, 60% say that they cannot work mobile. And I think that's clear. If you're working in a bakery, it's not possible to do home office or to work from anywhere else. But perhaps some people think it's not possible, even though it may be possible to work remotely. Perhaps they are mistaken about the obstacles and possibilities. So I think it's necessary to talk about working this way to make it clear that many more people are able to work remotely. However, I don't think I'm going too far when I say that these figures have changed a lot the last 2-3 weeks. But as a matter of fact, it needed a deadly virus and a pandemic for this change. So as much as we hope this change would come, conditions. This morning, I read an article about dating online. And I thought about that marriage can occur due to online dating. So why shouldn't it be possible to maintain a good working relationship online? And that's what we're doing and practicing these days. And I want to talk about this. I have some practical recommendations for the home office, and I think most of you joining us here in the hackathon do work remotely, so you know this. But I put together 9 points, and I thought these 9 points are very important and should be shared with everybody who wants to give it a try, so we can share them with everyone. I found some of these points in a Norwegian study about home office, and it confirmed what we as a team have already. The first point is that the communication is crucial for working online. You should talk about the channels you want to use and to agree upon them. And you shouldn't only talk about work. It's important to talk about personal feelings. How is everyone in this special situation? I think some people are really alone for so it should be a communication not about tasks. It should be a communication in a relationship to humans, to people. Very important differencing. Norwegian study, they found out that this helps not to have so much misunderstanding. If you only write to each other in emails or in chats and messengers, there can be very fast misunderstandings. So it's better to see each other that you don't have these misunderstandings. Then you should plan the working time. You should think about breaks and about the end of the work. It's important not mixing up all the times at home. You should be really clear when you are working and when you have no working times. Don't have all your devices on your table, and if something pings, you shouldn't be on the working desk again. This is really important for your health, and I think it's more important to do this at home as it would be in an office. Daily routines can help. For me, they are really important. And this works after trial, error, and adaptation, whatever makes it easier. You should try what's good for you and for the others. And for me, it's really nice to have a coffee and to go to my working station and especially today, doing the breaks, and at the end to get the computer really down and everything is really closed so that you have a closure for the day. Everybody recommends it, and I do it as well. You should have a separate workstation. For me, it's very hard to work on a place where I normally relax. There I don't come in a real working mood. So I found a place in our dining room where I put up my working station. And that works really well. When I sit there, I'm at once in a working modus and I'm very concentrated, and that works very nice. Although I think you have to keep moving. On the one hand, I mean, it's important sometimes if I'm stuck to find a new angle and just move your working station. Sometimes it can be good to look out of the window or go home if you have so much room to go into it and find another angle. On the other hand, I guess that most of us have not the ergonomic correct working station that we should have. So for example, we can walk around when we are having a call or something like this to look after your back. This nice word, deep work session, it doesn't mean anything else than working concentrated on a task. I think you have to do this on a daily basis, and I think you should do it, but you should make sure that you're not disturbed every time. And you should tell your team members that they can't reach you, so that everybody is fine and they know why you aren't online for this time. You should take this time. A special problem these days is if you have to take care for children. Try to find islands of work. Sometimes perhaps the children do watch a TV show or something like this, but you really should separate the times and you should follow the rhythm of the children. If you can't work concentrated, it makes no sense. And I think in these times, every employer understands that this isn't possible. And I think for the children, it's very important to know that they come first. Last but not least, a problem I had today, internet connection, a reliable internet connection, and good equipment. That's not something you can fix right now and by yourself, but it's something for the future that should be taken care of. So now I have some tips for video conferencing, but I do want to skip it and don't go into detail. I put the link about this Norwegian study and the article, or it is described in the so you can find it there. But what about leadership? Cornelia told us something about it, and I want to take it up from that point. Yes, do we need the management to tell us every day what we have to do? I would think working remotely is about letting go. There is no place for checking on the people every now and then and asking them if their tasks are ready or to micromanage. I think it's about trust, what Cornelia said today. And it's about self-organization. I think everybody knows how to do their job. And if you're controlled, there can't be good work atmosphere. So I think it's important that you see that the role of the management is not to micromanage and to enable the co-workers and the colleagues that they can do what they have to do. They have to take care that everyone has the equipment they need and to keeping up the motivation. Now I want to talk about a practical aspect of working digitally, which will become more relevant in past Corona times. And for that, I'm showing you a typical working day that I normally have when we have no Corona Ausgangssperre. I'm riding by bike into my office, stay the day in the office. Then I'm preparing a presentation in home office, and perhaps in the evening I have a call with our colleagues in the Washington, D.C. office. So while doing this, I violate several protection laws, and I show them to you. First of all, I can't really say if we're thinking on a bike and thinking about a workshop and the concept of a workshop is work at all. But the laws I violate are some, and I would like to ask you, if you're not coming from Germany, if I would have violated more laws in your country. That would be very interesting, but I guess it will be very difficult to beat the German bureaucracy. So I think that's what's happening now. Most of the people working in home office, or the most home office situations, violate the law these days, because there was no time to do the right things in the legal framework that you had to do if you're working mobile. For now, I think this is not a problem, because we are in the center of the crisis and no one really cares. But what will happen if it gets? What are we doing about this? Why is this violating the law so much if we're working at home? First of all, you have to know in Germany there is a difference between working mobile and home office. In the home office, you have several requirements that have been or can be checked every time. And I would like to want you to look at the requirements and think about whether you can meet them or not. Working mobile is easier because the employee is responsible for ensuring that the working environment complies with legal requirements. So there's no one coming to check on that, and you have to take care for yourself. But working in home office, there you have to meet all these requirements, and I think most of the people don't do this. And I believe normally you need management and the work council to ensure that you can work this way. But you have to know as well that the work councils have to have personal meetings so that the resolutions can be legally binding. So these days, when the corona crisis started and everybody told its employees to go into home office, there was no time to implement such an agreement or a resolution. The work councils have to do this virtually, but it is not binding. I think these days it's okay, but in the future there will be a problem, and I think there comes the time when the people find out that that doesn't work legally, and they have to find solutions for this. This brings me to the challenges. One point I think is that it will be very difficult to put the genie back into the bottle. Working once mobile, I think for the most people, it's a good way to work this way, and it proves so many employers wrong that it doesn't work. So it will be hard to say now go back to everyday business as we had it before Corona. So there should be a consolidation of the working methods. So what we practice these days. We need resolutions to make that possible, and not only on the company level. We have to think about adjustments of the legal framework on a national level, as well as on the European level, because that's the base for our legal framework. Using these tools does not mean that you have already completed a digital, but this should happen now. And I think points you have to do by making this transformation is to have a status quo analysis in the companies and the adjustment of business models and production processes and the implementation of new working methods, for example, agility. I think what the most companies are doing now is using the one or the other method, but not doing a real digital transformation. That's a lot to do, and it takes some years to get this moving. So a lot more things could be said, but we don't have so much time. So I want to close with an appeal. And that's remain being open-minded and keen to experiment regarding the new. Prove the skeptics wrong by continuing the experiments, and let's take our chances. And the first thing you have to do is do it with yourself and start in your own home business and try to talk to employers and your colleagues. So thank you very much.